to do the right thing. And if it... Why above the law? Why ever pay for his crimes? I want the truth.
Oh, y'all ever heard that saying, revenge is not the Jedi way from Star Wars? In this case, it kind of applies to, mostly due to the fact that revenge can often blindside you. Yes, you can always start off with good intentions, but good intentions can always lead you astray. One bad day is really all it takes, and in this case, in Powerplex's case, honestly, that's all it took for him to lose literally everything he cared about. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people call this episode filler because, oh, it's not explosions, it's so boring, blah blah blah. I don't understand this obsession with people calling everything filler. It's not like Mark battling space aliens or the Viltrumites. Like, okay, I get it, y'all just want to see some action, y'all just want to see pointless battles, but what's the point of pointless battles if there's like no progression within the story? That's what they called last week's episode. They called it filler because, oh, it had nothing to do with the Viltrumites. I don't care about like the criminals on Earth. I don't really care about street level characters. These are the same type of people that call Superman boring because he's not fighting gods 24/7. They don't like when Superman fights street tier characters. Or these are the same people that find the Batman boring because he's being a detective, which literally makes no sense because this is essential for Mark's character development, for Mark's growth as the series progresses. But that's spoilers, and I don't know, people used to be really nitpicky. But I do want to talk about this episode. I'm getting off topic. I do like Powerplex as a character. To me, I like this episode mostly because it sidetracked Mark. It gave us a brand new perspective on how things are. Y'all ever seen Batman vs Superman? How we have a different perspective on the battle of Metropolis from Superman's viewpoint and from Batman's viewpoint. This is pretty much the exact same sequence that we have at the beginning of the episode. We have a callback to when Mark tried to save that mom and daughter. He ultimately failed due to Omni-Man's rampage. And here, this episode, we get to see a perspective from Powerplex, how he thinks Mark killed his sister and his niece, which ultimately drives him further and further wanting revenge. He tries his best to document, to track down Mark, to find a way to take him down legally, because a lot of people do still blame him for the destruction him and his father did. Because you gotta think about it from his perspective. If you don't know the whole story, you just see these two little gods fighting and with no absolute consequences, with no one punishing them. Yeah, you would be siding with Powerplex too. A lot of people like to say that Powerplex is and they're wrong. He's not justified for hating on him, but he's 100% justified in becoming a villain. Now, him losing his family, his wife and daughter, his wife and son, that's honestly his fault because he overloaded himself. He let his rage and his anger blind him, and that ultimately cost him his family, further justifying his hatred towards Invincible. And I do like how this episode they played around with the title card Invincible. Every time he's just going on a rampage about where is this, or like why is not coming here, which to me I found to be like super pretty damn entertaining. It was pretty funny. I also like the fact that like no one knows who the hell Shapesmith is. He's kind of the discount Martian Manhunter. Pretty funny. I like that. I like how this was pretty much one-to-one adaptation of the Powerplex storyline in the comics. Really well done. Also, they did change several things about it. For one, he works for the GDA rather than just like a worker at the Pentagon, which is pretty cool. I do like that nice change of pace. I do like how the animation looked. I do like how some of the fighting sequences were pretty much like one-to-one exact copies from the comic issue, which was really nice. Overall, I think it is a pretty solid episode. As for the revenge part, you can see how revenge can often drive one to madness. We see this in a lot of revenge type of stories, how one person starts off with a good deed, ultimately blinding them. For example, take Anakin. He wanted to save his wife from death, but and his anger and then his quest to save her, it ultimately backfired, and he became a machine. He became the very monster he swore to destroy. He became the very evil that his unintended consequences had. Just like Powerplex, he started off with like a hatred, a lust, a vengeance against Invincible. He did everything he could, and when he tried to confront him and failed, he just wanted to give up and say, you know what, this is not for me. That's not until his wife convinces him, I have one more solution, and if this doesn't work, then I don't know what else we're gonna do, because we have to get justice for your sister, for your niece, because they are people too. Yes, because Omni-Man and Mark don't have to suffer the consequences doesn't mean you should suffer for these consequences, because one man, you can't really imagine the pain this man went through. Like, you see a hero, quote unquote, grabbing the limbs of your sister. What would you do in his position? Yeah, his revenge is justified, but the things he does later on is not terrorizing civilians, breaking out of GDA custody, stealing GDA equipment, and then ultimately killing his wife and his son in a blind rage, and then blaming it on Invincible without him taking accountability. It's just ridiculous. It's just not fair that his lust for revenge is ultimately blindsiding him. This is a man who's so deep, who's so lost in his frustration and his anger towards Invincible. He fails to realize that maybe if I stop for 1 second, maybe if I think about it for 1 second, this is not Invincible's fault. Maybe if I just talk to him about how I feel, he would fully understand this. And I really do like this perspective of like this episode, how revenge can only get you so far, how redemption, some people can earn it, other people cannot. The GDA claims they're going to redeem Powerplex, but at the end of the day, this man, all he wants is revenge. All he sees is a way for his hate to be further justified against Invincible, because he blames Mark for everything that's happened to him, just like Angstrom Levy blames Mark, mostly due to these two people's like inadequacies, mostly due to their inefficiencies to like realize this situation. Maybe if I stop for 1 second and think about it, this is not Invincible's fault, this is my fault, but these people fail to take any accountability, which makes this all the more tragic for Powerplex, a man who lost everything and his sole passion for revenge. And it's a really great opportunity to get into the mindset of how this is going to affect Invincible, how he never thought about the little guys, how he never thought to memorize their names, to never realize, these people made me sad, but I never got to know them on a personal level. How should this affect me? This ultimately will further progress Mark into like being further from a hero to becoming more of a symbol, so to say, going between that gray and that middle area. Like, how far is too far? If I took my conquest on revenge just like this man, would I be just like this man if I never learned to forgive? Like, it's a really great episode because I just love the tackling on revenge, how it goes too far. Revenge never does anything for you. An eye for an eye just makes the whole world blind, which to me I found to be a pretty fantastic episode. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Revenge is never the right solution. It's never justified, not necessarily. But the post-credit scene of Invincible, I am excited for that because they actually tease and they've confirmed the Invincible War is happening on the next episode. How that's gonna play out, I have no clue. But I do have more to talk about this episode, but I'll save that for like a different video. Right now, this is just the Powerplex episode. I liked it. I liked, I forgot the actor's name who voiced Powerplex. I like his performance. Very good. I've seen a lot of Breaking Bad memes. Granted, I've only seen like a few episodes of Breaking Bad, so I wouldn't necessarily get it. But good episode, nonetheless. One of my favorite, very emotional, and I cannot wait for the final 2 episodes because it's gonna get crazy, man. But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.